Welcome in, everyone. If you're watching on Twitter, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you. If you are on YouTube, please subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications. This really helps us over here at Vikings Central. If you're watching on Twitter, probably where most of you are, thank you for following. Thank you for tuning in. So, our topic today is going to be an interesting one. Obviously, yesterday we saw two NFC North teams winning the wild card round. Green Bay dominated Dallas. Jordan Love looks like the next, really good quarterback at the very least in Green Bay. And then Detroit got their first playoff victory in, was it 32 years, I think, since 1991. So a big day for the NFC North. And obviously, Minnesota didn't really have any part of that, unfortunately. There's been a lot of talk on Twitter. What do the Vikings need to do to get back to that level of competitiveness in the NFC North or in the NFC in general? If Kirk didn't get hurt this year, if he didn't have all these injuries, a lot of excuses, a lot of what ifs, the Vikings probably would have been right there. Let's be honest with you. Would they won the division? I'm not sure. But they probably would have snuck in as a wild card. Green Bay probably would have been at home, to be honest with you. And that's just happens during the NFL season. A lot of ups and downs, a lot of twists and turns, just the way it goes. It's really too bad, but it is what it is. But the main question we're going to be focusing on is regarding Kirk Cousins. If the Vikings bring back Kirk Cousins in 2024, will the Vikings be good enough to compete in the NFC North? Now, the short answer is yes, because Kirk keeps teams competitive. Whatever team he is on, they're going to be competitive. We've seen that in Minnesota. They haven't really ever took that next leap, took that next step, and that's a variety of factors. If it is quarterback play, health, the offensive line, the defense has been pretty suspect, other than parts of this season, the last few years. But is he good enough, to compete in the NFC North? That Green Bay, youngest team in the NFL, essentially rising, continue to rise. Detroit just got a really good foundation over there. They're winning playoff games now. Chicago, more than likely, probably going to take Caleb Williams, and if they don't, they're going to trade out of it for a haul that'll probably blow your mind. So there's a lot of factors going on in the NFC North, and Minnesota's kind of just laying back in the grass, not really sure what's going to happen on this end. Not that there's not a lot of interesting topics and talkers to be had about the Vikings coming into the offseason. Is Kirk Cousins going to be back? Are the Vikings going to get the extension done with Justin Jefferson? The health of TJ Hawkinson? Are we going to continue to add to this defense that has shown flashes in 2023? Are the Vikings going to move up for a quarterback in the draft? That was a big talker last year, but it's probably more likely this year. Injury from Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is officially a free agent. So it is a lot to be said. Just the question in general, are they going to be able to compete in the NFC North if the Vikings bring Kirk Cousins back? And again, the short answer is probably yes. Kirk is going to be good enough, regarding the injury. That could change a whole lot of things if he doesn't come back the same from the injury, which leads to another topic that, it's going to be talked about the next few months as well. But if he returns to form, he is going to be good enough to get this team to, at minimum, 7, 8, 9 wins. And that's going to put you in the thick of the playoff race pretty much year in and year out. So, like I said, the short answer is yes. But a lot of factors go into that, again, as well. Is Justin Jefferson going to want Kirk Cousins back? He's talking glowingly about him pretty much the last month or so of the season. Like, we need our guy Kirk back. That's what's missing in this offense. That's what's missing in this locker room. That's what's missing with this team. We need Kirk Cousins to get back, get healthy, get him back on the field. And, this offense is going to take the next step, just the leadership standpoint and everything like that. It's just a big deal, to be honest with you. And again, the Vikings have that decision to make. Are the Vikings going to bring Kirk Cousins back? Or are they going to look to the future with a quarterback in the draft? With the number of guys, they probably won't reach all the way up for Caleb Williams. Probably not Drake May, but Jaden Daniels. What do they feel about Michael Penix Jr.? J.J. McCarthy's the big one as well. Do they feel like he's a first-round, prospect, or do they feel more second round with J.J. McCarthy? Quinn Ewers is going back to Texas, and so he's probably out of the talk there. But those 5 quarterbacks, what's the feel within the Vikings organization? Are they, up to the level that the Vikings would move up to get one of those guys, or sit back and maybe select Michael Penix Jr. or J.J. McCarthy later on in the first, or maybe into the second round? We just want to talk about our sponsor today. That's Badass Wood Art. Use code VC15 at checkout for 15% off your order. You can follow Luis is the man who does it over there at That's Badass Wood Art. It's at That's Badass on Twitter. He has a bunch of cool handmade projects that he does. Not just Vikings, but any Minnesota sports, any, entertainment, anything like that, TV series, custom pieces for your family. Luis is your man. Again, that's Badass Wood Art. Use code VC15 at checkout. But if the Vikings do go towards back Kirk Cousins, he's probably going to get a little bit of a payday again. Probably not as much as he'd want, not as much, post-injury now, but, a $30 million ballparkish number, 30 to 35 million, right around there. Isn't it going to be a 1 or 2 year deal, or is Kirk going to want some more security and want, not a long-term contract, but maybe a 3-year contract? If there's that much investment, Minnesota should probably walk, in my opinion. Kirk's getting to that age cliff. Quarterbacks do play pretty well till they're 40 years old, but you just don't know. Achilles is a major injury. Yes, today's surgeries, today's, medicine, procedures, it really helps the recovery time for these athletes. But either way, that's a giant risk to take. And with a quarterback class as good as, 2024's, again, with Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix Jr., there's probably going to be a guy or two that's going to move up the draft boards, during the pre-draft process and at the combine and at the Senior Bowl. Bo Nix is another name. Not a lot of people love Bo Nix. The offense he kind of ran at Oregon, they don't think it's going to translate very well to the NFL, and I kind of agree with that. But we got to trust Kevin O'Connell to mold his guy and what he sees fit. And the guy that he chooses, he did choose Jaron Hall, who did show some potential, but also showed signs of not being ready at all in the 2023 season. I don't think he's given up on Jaron Hall yet, but at the same time, they really need to figure out where he's at as a quarterback and as a developmental guy down the line. Is he just a practice squad guy? Is he, maybe a future backup in this league? It's probably going to look like one of those two options, not a long-term starter for your franchise. But what do they do? Do they go to the draft? Do they go back to Kirk Cousins? Do they find a bridge quarterback a la Baker Mayfield, Gardner Minshew, and still draft a quarterback of the future? I think they like the financial flexibility that they would have if they did let Kirk walk. I know they still owe him some money, but they won't be putting that much money into the asset of Kirk Cousins if they do decide to let him walk. So that's going to be an interesting topic. They do need to extend Justin Jefferson, Christian Darrisaw, just big stud players at premier positions. And if you can match a quarterback on a rookie scale deal that's been talked about a long time, and he is a hit, that sets you up for, at minimum, 5 years on a rookie scale contract to just, round out your roster. And at the end of the day, you got to build your team through the draft as well. And the Vikings just have not drafted well whatsoever, especially on the defensive end. I think they've drafted like one starter, and that's Cam Bynum. Josh Metellus was a while back as well, but Daniil Hunter was 2015 draft pick. You look at Harrison Smith; he's all the way back to 2012. A lot of free agent signings of Byron Murphy Jr., Harrison Phillips. DJ Wanham was a decent hit as well, but then Ivan Pace Jr., he was a UDFA. Jordan Hicks was a free agent. So there's a lot of guys that were signed in free agency, and the guys that we just haven't hit on in the draft. Lewis Cine hasn't made an impact. Andrew Booth hasn't made an impact. At the end of the day, if you want long-term success, you've got to start hitting in the draft. You can't just sign all your players via free agency because there is a cap space, unfortunately. And when you're delving out this money to your quarterback, to your superstar wide receiver, to your tackles on offense. Are they going to resign Danielle Hunter? Big questions. Going to be interesting to watch in the next few months. Just want to do a quick live with you guys. What in your opinion is bringing back Kirk Cousins in 2024? Is it good enough to compete in the NFC North? Can you go get 10, 11, 12 wins? Is it good enough to round out your roster? Again, at the end of the day, you got to start hitting on some draft picks. You got to start, obviously staying healthy, but you need to start, the evolution of just getting better and better as an offense if you do decide to bring Kirk Cousins back. And we did see that, right before Kirk went down, the offense was starting to look really good. And then it was a revolving door at quarterback the rest of the season, unfortunately. But thanks for tuning in, guys. Again, if you're watching on Twitter, thank you. I appreciate your guys' support and the following you guys give me over there. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe. You can actually find us at Viked Out on YouTube. Again, Viked Out, VIKEDOUT, one word. Find us over there on YouTube and give us a follow. Subscribe to us over there. Hit that bell for notifications. Again, guys, thanks for tuning in. Skol.